sense it makes.
I don't know why Harpies have sons.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, Harpies aren't real. So, can things that aren't real have kids that also aren't real?
Apparently, because in this episode they have lots of sons of the Harpy.
But aren't Harpies like mythologically all female? So how can they have sons?
Well, they wouldn't be giving birth to Harpies. They'd be giving birth to non-Harpies.
But what is a male Harpy?
There is no male Harpy.
Is it a Harpo?
Oh!
Harpo Marx, hey! The Marx Brothers, sons of Harpies. We solved it here first.
We solved it here first on the Game of Thrones Spoilercast.
Woohoo! For the episode Sons of the Harpy, clearly.
If you can't tell, that's what we're talking about.
Very clearly, that's what we're talking about here.
Welcome. My name is Friar Dan.
I am that guy, Todd.
And it's the Podcast Doom Spoilercast for Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Episode 4.
Yes, of this 5th season that has been just fucking with my emotions.
Oh.
So we're going to start there. In Marine, Daenerys, hanging out, chilling with Barristan and Selmy, having a good time.
Yeah.
And then, of course, she's going to talk to the guy about the fighting pits again, because, he's like this, all we have are our traditions now. Otherwise, all we have is our hatred as former master and slave.
Right.
So you need to give us something else to focus on.
He said it's not going to fix everything, but it's a start.
Yeah. She's still seeing it as just barbaric slaughter. It's like, is it really like that, though, when it's people volunteering to fight each other? I mean, yeah, boxing's barbaric, but no one's forcing them to do it.
Right.
So I feel like that's kind of the same thing. It's just one of those things you just have to kind of deal with. You might cluck your tongue and purse your lips and give it the stink eye, but
so uncivilized.
Yes. Can't everybody just get along and read a book?
It's so uncivilized. But yeah, I think that we really need these fighting pits to open because...
Yeah, because the Sons of the Harpy, which got the episode named after them, and although they were like the second most violent fuckers in the episode, but somehow they did a full-fledged assault. Before we saw they snuck attack on one Unsullied guy in a brothel, but now they're taking it to the streets.
A little bit, yeah.
And attacking fucking a ton of sellswords and Unsullied by like the platoon, including Daenerys' captain of the Unsullied got involved in one of these altercations, and he's not doing too good.
No.
And then Barristan Selmy was on the streets, and then he got involved, and he's doing even worse. He's doing dead.
Yeah.
They killed Barristan Selmy. They killed Barristan Selmy.
That's crazy.
They can't kill him.
They did, though. Well, we think they did.
I don't know. He looks pretty stabbed to death.
Yeah, he does. But
he got stabbed a few times in a few places. This wasn't like, oh no, I got stabbed once in like the kidney. Oh no.
Right.
This was like, I got stabbed in the legs and in the torso and in the heart and possibly the neck area. So, another divergence from the book that I'm not happy about.
Well, they also did this after they give us the scene where he's talking to Daenerys.
About her brother Rhaegar and how great he was.
And how he used to sing in the streets.
This whole episode was like, there was a lot of Rhaegar talk. We hadn't heard a lot of it, but yeah, Barristan was talking about how Rhaegar would go down to like the Rhaegar, lower class part of the city, pretending to be a minstrel and just singing for people, seeing how much money he could make, and then donating that money to an orphanage or whatever,
right.
Or giving it away to another minstrel. He just did it because he wanted to do it. He enjoyed doing it. And then we heard from somebody else about, Rhaegar winning a tournament at Harrenhal, and instead of giving his tournament prize or his crown or whatever to his wife, giving it to Ned Stark's older sister,
right?
Which, of course, then, who at that time was betrothed to Robert, and then, of course, that started a fucking war.
Right.
So, yeah, this is Rhaegar Targaryen. Pretty Targaryen. He's very Targaryen, I guess.
He's very Targaryen. Much good and much Targaryen.
Yes. The same thing that made him want to be a singer for people was kind of also what caused the war to start.
Right.
So, it was interesting, but now Barristan's dead, and Jorah's on his way back with Tyrion.
Yes.
And then, of course, Tyrion starts talking to him, and he's like, "You're going the wrong way if you want to take me back to Cersei."
Westeros is west.
Yes.
We are heading east.
And then Jorah's like, "I'm not taking you to Cersei. taking Daenerys. She's the queen I serve. And then Tyrion just laughs at him, like we all laughed at him. It's like, well, you wasted a good kidnapping because I was headed that way anyway. And Jorah was confused. But now Jorah's not confused, and now they're both heading there, although Tyrion is still in shackles and getting slapped. But, yeah, so how long do you think until Varys catches up to him?
I don't know. I don't know how long it'll be. I don't know. We didn't even see Varys in this episode, so we don't know how he's reacting to Tyrion not coming back.
Well, let me put it this way. Is there a chance in hell that the first time that boat that Jorah's driving docks, that somebody's not going to get word to Varys about it?
Right.
Like, this dude has spies everywhere.
Right. And
Jorah used to be one of them. Which they brought up again. I like the season 1's callbacks going on here. And yeah, so eventually Varys is going to catch up to him, probably right around the time they get to Meereen, or right before. And then the three of them are going to go into Daenerys together, and somehow it's all going to work out, because it's Varys and Tyrion together.
Yeah, but it's Game of Thrones, and nothing ever really works out in Game of Thrones, so... Yeah. We'll have to see what happens. We'll definitely have to see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see... Especially with now that Barristan's gone, I kind of feel like Jorah showing up again, just in the state that she's in, like mentally from losing Barristan, she might just be like, you know what, I forgive you, we need you back. Right. I need somebody...
You bring me the imp, so...
Yeah, we need somebody that's a combat person. Because Dario, not exactly going to be able to lead men.
Right.
So... I mean, it's a weird situation because, like I said, different than the books, for sure. And again, I'm like so intrigued now. I'm like, I have no idea what's going to happen. This is all fucking brand new for me. Yeah. Like everything that was happening. Now, obviously, the Sons of the Harpy are in the books too, and they were attacking like Daenerys supporters in the books also. But Barristan Selmy never got his hands dirty. And neither did, I think it's Grey Worm, right? Yeah, Grey Worm. Like, they were always kind of up in the pyramid still. They didn't get down. They didn't go down in the streets.
They didn't take it to the streets.
They did not take it to the streets.
But that's to be expected. So, I don't know. It's kind of... It leaves... That was how the episode ended, first off. Barristan and Grey Worm, like, laying in the dirt.
Collapsed, bleeding next to each other.
Having killed, like, 27 Sons of the Harpy.
Yeah. I hate those fuckers.
Those sons of bitches.
It really... The thing is, and I know this is maybe just an American thing, but George R. R. Martin's American too. The Sons of the Harpy remind me of the Klan. Like post, Civil War, post... Or even like you used to say like in the early 20th century. The Sons of the Harpy remind me of the Klan. Because the Klan grew up in the South out of former slave owners that didn't like, that blacks were being integrated into white society. Right. They didn't like this whole equality of the races thing. Right. And obviously they were masters and slaves in Marine. So every time I look at the Harpies, I think of the Klan, and then I think of the Blues Brothers and how much they hate Illinois Nazis. And it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But yeah, so when I see them as being a metaphor for the Ku Klux Klan or any other group like that where former slave owners feel like they've been wronged by not being able to have their slaves anymore, and they're going to rise up against the person that took it away. Right. Like, just massive fuck you to anybody who feels that way. It's like, I have a right to own people as, like, property. It's like, get fucked. Right. So, yeah, that's why I hate them so much, because I look at them and I just automatically see a fucking white hood in my head.
Instead of a gold mask.
Yeah, and I want to just get a baseball bat and crank on them. So, yeah. Anyway, going beyond my own very violent feelings towards the KKK, and therefore the Sons of Harpy. We talked about they were the second most violent people. The episode opened with Cersei, for some fucking reason. I mean, I think it's clear now, but she went to the High Sparrow and basically decided to reintroduce the militarized arm of the church, which, if you can think about pretty much any case in human history where a church has a military, it usually doesn't end well for most people.
No, it does not.
And so
battle priests.
Yeah, they immediately start smashing all the alcohol. beating up anyone that's at a whorehouse, including the prostitutes, and then also going after homosexuals. And Loras gets beaten and jailed by these sparrows who are having the symbol of the seven carved into their forehead with a knife.
Wearing black robes with chains on them.
Yeah, so...
And using a lot of maces from what I can see.
Yeah, again, more symbolism from all over the place.
Right.
It's like, oh, so you're carving symbols in your forehead. Awesome.
This is great.
Yeah, these look like somebody I can trust.
And then Tommen finds out about this.
Yeah, Marjorie storms in, rightfully pissed off.
Why has my brother been jailed?
Immediately blaming Cersei because he's like, no, she's the one that started this whole thing. Because obviously you didn't do it, Tommen. Right. And clearly this was her end game, was knowing they'd go after Loras because they don't approve of his lifestyle. So again, then Tommen tries to go to the Sept to speak to the High Sparrow. And the Goon Squad won't let him through because the High Sparrow is praying. Right. It can't be interrupted. And then, to their credit, I don't like the White Cloaks much, but I like the fact that they're ready to basically just throw down right on the spot.
We'll take care of this vermin.
Yeah, you don't block the king. Are you fucking kidding me? But then, things got weird. The crowd that's outside the Sept, like all the impoverished people that the Sparrows have been taking care of, start yelling at Tom and calling him an abomination and a bastard.
Yeah. So it's interesting, like, because we haven't really seen how the people are reacting to Tommen at this point.
Yeah.
And obviously they think that he's an abomination and a bastard at this junction. So
the problem is he's been so sheltered, and I don't think anyone really knows him.
Right.
Or knows anything about him. They just maybe assume he's Joffrey the Second.
Right.
When he's clearly not. I mean, Joffrey had a backbone. Those sparrows would have been dead.
Right.
And if they had stopped King Joffrey, he would have pulled out his own sword. So.
Or his crossbow, right?
Yeah. Yeah. As much as we hated Joffrey, he wouldn't let a bunch of goons. He wouldn't let a bunch of goons and potato stacks stop him from going somewhere.
I think that says a lot about Tommen's character. I mean, we've had a lot of I love my cat and. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, I don't want violence. I just don't.
Yeah.
I just want to make my wife happy because she sucks my dick. Like
any good husband would feel. Yes. I don't think that's a emotion we cannot relate to.
That's true.
Clearly, he understands the basic principles of being a husband already, even though he's like a 14-year-old boy.
Right.
So, I mean, kudos to him on that. He understands real quickly where the power in the relationship lies.
Right.
Of course, he was raised by Cersei, so I think he probably understood pretty early on that the women have all the power in the relationships. Especially when it comes to the royal relationships.
Right.
But, yeah, he comes back and she's like, where's my brother? And he's like, well, there would have been no way to get him without violence, without there being violence. And this is something that matters to him. And, it's nice to see something that actually doesn't enjoy violence on the show. Right. But it's not going to work out for him.
No, not at all. It's one of those things. It's a catch-22. Like, he needs to. He doesn't want to promote violence or cause the violence to do anything.
Especially because it would be violence against the church.
Right. Exactly. But at the same time, he needs to exert himself, or Cersei's just going to run the country behind his back.
Yeah, well, and if he doesn't, because he didn't assert himself here, now they think they have the run of town. Like, right. They have it. They can sit there and go, "Well, the king backed down in the face of us," and Tom can spin and say, "Well, I'm a pious man, and of course I would not want to, invoke violence against people who serve the Seven." Right. But are they really serving the Seven? Like, right. This is that fundamentalist shit. Like, you're like, okay. Are you really serving the gods, or are you just serving yourself and then pretend and using their name to justify what you're doing? Because, granted, we don't have like a Bible or a holy book for the Seven. At least maybe George R. R. Martin's already published one. Who knows at this point? The amount that guy writes. But yeah, you can't imagine that the Seven or even the High Sparrow is really interested in what's been going on here. This is just basically a bunch of thugs now using the church as their cloak instead of previously, like, somebody else's banner, like a house's banner.
Right.
This was just a group of thugs that found another way to thug.
Right.
And now they're doing it in the name of the Seven, and they've become even more kind of like zealots as a result, because they feel like the gods are behind their actions now.
Right.
So if anything, they're even worse.
Right.
They become more violent and more erratic because they feel like they can do anything without being held accountable to anybody.
Well, because they get their stuff from the High Sparrow, and the High Sparrow is all good. He's all that as well, and all good in life.
Yeah, he isn't dressing up prostitutes as the seven gods and then nailing them. Which, I mean, sure, it's blasphemous, but you got to give the man points for creativity on that.
I mean, they're attacking these brothels in broad daylight, and one of those brothels just happens to belong to Lord Baelish himself.
Yeah, who is leaving Winterfell and heading towards King's Landing right now.
Because of that. I'm sure it's because of that.
Well, no, Cersei summoned him. So who knows why. She probably just wants to get, to try to figure out a way to control him again. I think in the past, probably she did control him a lot, but not so much anymore. I don't think.
Well, I think I'm interested to see what's going to happen, because obviously word has to have spread that Sansa's back in Winterfell, and she came with Lord Baelish. So last time anyone saw her before that was when she was at the Purple Wedding.
Yeah.
And then she escaped, and now she's with Lord Baelish. So I want to know...
I mean, I don't know. Has word spread? I mean, do the Boltons really want that getting out to King's Landing that quickly? Because...
But everyone's got spies everywhere. They've got to know.
Maybe. I'm gonna give Littlefinger the benefit of the doubt that he's controlling this in a way that's not going to get right back to King's Landing. Because it's also, I can't imagine it's good for the Boltons if they're seen trying to bring the Stark girl into their family.
Right, I'm sure.
The Lannisters are their quote allies, but like Bruce said, they're on their own kind of now.
Right.
So I have a feeling that this is going to be one of those things that's going to be after the marriage happens. Then they're going to announce, oh, by the way, we have Sansa Stark is now part of the Boltons.
Right.
Therefore, giving us, complete rights to the North, even without the Lannisters on the throne. It doesn't matter.
Right.
The North is now ours because Sansa Stark is in our family, and she says it's ours. By her birthright, it's now our families are tied. So, I have a feeling it's going to be a power play that they're going to keep real quiet right up until the marriage happens, and then they're going to announce, hey, guess what, Lannisters? We don't need you anymore. You need us.
Right.
We control half the fucking kingdom.
Right.
Or half of the seven. Really, the North is so big.
Right.
So, let's talk now.
Let's figure this out.
But they were in the crypts. Littlefinger and Sansa were talking, and that was where we got the story about Rhaegar and at the festival, the tournaments.
Right.
And then, Sansa and Peter kind of talking about her, basically being a married woman by the time Peter gets back. And then Peter kisses her on the lips.
Yeah, that was...
And she didn't flinch or nothing. She was, all about it.
Okay.
I don't know if
she's the only one he's the only one she trusts.
It's I can't tell if she's, if this is something that's happened before, or she's just resigned herself, or she's just so shocked.
Right.
And she just kind of was okay. Because, she didn't look phased, afterwards. She kind of was just looking at him, with a very neutral expression. Right. So, yeah, that was weird. That was one of those things that internal alarm. You're just I can hear so many people not enjoying this, and I'm one of them.
Yeah, that's very true. It's one of those things that really just happened. It really just happened.
Nerd osmosis through the internet. You just heard a lot of people going, and then, not necessarily most nerds, but our friend and fellow podcaster on here, B, we can guarantee that she was not feeling that Jon Snow scene where Melisandre took off her clothes and started trying to seduce Jon, because she hates Melisandre, and she also has it out for the actress in her nipples.
And her weird nipples, apparently.
Yeah. So having her boy, Jon, her favorite, fondling those boobs, probably did not sit well.
Probably not.
I was okay with it.
It was But yeah, I mean, it was interesting to see Jon having to be High Commander of the Night's Watch having to ask people for them to send people to up their ranks of the Night's Watch.
Including the Boltons.
He
did not want to send that letter, but he did sign it.
He killed my brother.
It's like, how many times have we talked about how you swore this oath that we're not going to get involved in the wars?
Right.
The Boltons have the most people. We need people. We can't launch them all with 50 brothers.
Right.
So, sign it. And take what he gives us.
Right, exactly.
Because we
need people.
We won't be able to survive winter without him.
Right, exactly.
And then Melisandre tries to convince him to go south, and she starts grinding on him and getting to fondle her.
And then, I took an oath.
Yeah. And then, of course, he brings up that he, loves someone else, and that he still loves her. And then, as Melisandre's walking out, she turns right and goes, "You know nothing, Jon Snow." And I'm like, you do not!
You are not allowed to say such things.
Only Ygritte says those things. But it makes you wonder, how did she know about this very popular catchphrase?
Right.
That another woman said to him. Does she watch the show too?
It's possible. It's very possible.
Does Melisandre be reading the books? She's staying ahead. She's like, that's how this is gonna go.
Maybe the Lord of Light is George R.R. Martin.
Holy shit! That'd be some ego author. I mean, authors have written themselves into books or made author analogs. Famously, Twilight. Bella is basically the author's making herself and
putting yourself in the book.
Yeah, the whole self-satisfaction thing. Stephen King did it with The Dark Tower, but he actually put himself as a person, as a character that was writing books, but then he's also talking to these people. But then he's also kind of useless.
Right.
It was a weird meta thing. So yeah, is George R. R. Martin the Lord of Light?
It's possible.
Some reason
I wouldn't doubt it. We're gonna see a figure of him, and it's gonna be just this big dude with a beard and glasses.
For some reason, I don't see it making himself. If he had to choose a god, I think George R. R. Martin, if he inserted himself in the book, would probably be the many-faced god. He'd be like, I'm the one true god.
Right.
But yeah, so that was going on, and then we got to see Stannis, and he had a scene with his daughter. We haven't had really. I don't know if they've had any scenes with the two of them.
I don't think they have. Now that I think about it, I don't think they've had scenes where they've interacted with each other.
Yeah, but she comes in and she asks, "Are you ashamed of me?" And he gives this amazing monologue about when she was born and how this merchant brought this doll, and that when he put it in the crib with her, that she smiled and rubbed her face against it. But apparently that was what gave her the infection, the stone scale or whatever, or grayscale.
Grayscale.
And that everybody was saying, she's not going to live long. You should send her to Volantis or whatever to live with the stone men the rest of her days. And that he told them all to go to hell and got every maester and healer and apothecary in the Seven Kingdoms to come and try to save her life. And they did. They beat back the grayscale. And he's talking about how you are Princess Shireen of the Baratheon family, and you are my daughter, and you always belong with me, and I'll never be ashamed. And it was a great scene. And it was right then I'm like, that's the dude that should win the throne.
Right.
That dude right there is the guy they need. Really, he's the king we need and we deserve right now.
And I love how she's like, I know Mother didn't want to bring me. He's like, how did you know that? She's like, she told me she didn't want to bring me.
Yeah. I know everybody loves Daenerys, but she's not ready. But Stannis Baratheon, he ready.
He ready.
He might worship a weird god right now, but I don't give a fuck.
Right.
He stabbed his brother with his weird shadow baby. I don't give a fuck. Right now, it seems like he's the only way that they're going to survive winter. Because everybody else's head is so far up their fucking asses that they can't even see what's coming. Which
could be a war with Dorne.
Yeah, because Oberyn Martell's paramour, I guess is the phrase. She rode off to her little sand snake camp with the 3 bastard daughters of Oberyn Martell. That, well, I guess we should go back first. Jaime and Bronn are on a ship that's heading to Old Town, which is geography-wise, if you look at where King's Landing is, it's on the eastern side of the South Westeros, right? Old Town is the most southwestern parts of Westeros, so they gotta go around Dorne, and then get to Old Town. So along the way, while they're going around Dorne, which kind of sticks out into the sea a bit, Jaime and Bronn get off the ship and go ashore to infiltrate Dorne to get Jaime's daughter, the princess, back before anything happens to her. And they're the captain, of course, as Bronn immediately points out, probably sold them out in the next port.
Right.
And so
it's like, what would stop him from doing that? It's like a bag of gold. It was a very heavy bag of gold.
Yeah. And then Bronn's like, you underestimate how much people hate your family in this area, in this place. So sure enough, 4 mounted riders with spears show up. A battle ensues. Jaime and Bronn wins. Because Jaime realizes he can stop swords with his gold hand and it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, I can grab a sword with this hand.
So yeah, and then he makes Bronn bury the bodies, which Bronn is not thrilled about.
And I was like, well, we need to bury the bodies. I can't dig very good holes with one hand.
So you're going to have to bury the bodies. How long do you think it's going to take you to do this? But he's right, they don't want to start a war, so they have to hide the corpses.
Questions bring up arms, and then arms lead to war.
So that's happening, and then sure enough, we go back to the sand snakes, and they have the captain buried up to his neck in the sand with scorpions hanging around his head. And he told them that he smuggled Jaime Lannister into the country. And then basically, the paramour tells them, are we going to go either with Doran, your uncle's way of peace, or my way, which is war, in which they're going to go after Marcella, is what their plan is. They want to kidnap her and do God knows what to her.
Right.
And one of the, I think the one sand snake that's actually her daughter, like the paramour and Oberyn's daughter, is with them. And then one of them abstains, I guess. And then the last one gives them a little badass speech about when Oberyn first came for her and her mother was crying. And Oberyn dropped his spear at her feet and said, there's 2 weapons you can use. There's my weapon or there's your mother's weapon, referring to her tears.
Right.
And then right when she finishes that, she grabs her spear, chucks it, impales the guy's head, the captain's head that's in the sand, and she's like, I made my choice years ago.
Right.
So so now we have Jaime and Bronn, and now the Sand Snakes all going to be heading towards... We're trying to get Marcella.
Right, all heading to Dorne, trying to start a war and prevent a war. Yeah. So it's interesting to see where that's going to head. Where that's going to go to.
Yes, things are getting to that point now where it's like, okay, things are going to start moving really fast. All of a sudden now, like
I think it's gonna have to happen because there's only 12 episodes in a season.
10
episodes in a season, and we're on episode 4. So things are going to start picking up really, really quick. In some aspects of what's going on. So
yeah, I think we're going to start seeing some of these plots resolved sooner than later.
Right.
Because, they're not going to be able to just hold everything off till, the end of the season. And not to mention that there's the fallout from some of these plots is more important than what's actually happening right now.
Right.
So, like we know from the preview for the next episode, Stannis is going to be leaving Castle Black, and Jon's going to make a decision with the wildlings. That Sansa and Ramsay look like they get hitched. That
it looks like they seal the deal.
Yeah,
biblically, if you know what I mean.
Carnally, I think is what you meant.
Yeah.
Physically,
yeah.
They boink.
They boink. That's what I'm trying to say. They get a boink.
And then Tyrion sees a dragon for the first time.
Tyrion sees a dragon, and that's a cool fucking scene.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. I can't wait just to hear whatever line they have that comes out of his mouth the first time he sees a dragon.
I think it'd be interesting if he's just completely speechless.
It also appears that Daenerys goes back in to try again with her dragons. I think after the Sons of Harpy attack, she's like, you know what? They were running a little wild before, but maybe running a little wild's good.
Maybe that's a good thing, yeah.
Maybe we should put a little fear back into these motherfuckers. I think they can attack my guards, they can attack my army. Let's see them attack dragons.
Right.
The little cowards with their fucking daggers, jumping out of the shadows and trying to slit their throat. Try that shit with a dragon.
Right.
A fire-breathing, flying dragon with a 30-foot wingspan.
Right.
See what happens.
So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything that's happened in this episode.
It was a lot.
It was.
At the beginning, they had that 2-minute long previous line. I'm like, this is going to be a lot of shit.
There's a lot of shit going on.
There's a lot of plot lines in this episode coming up. But yeah, I mean, everything. It actually was. I liked it. It was a really fast-paced episode. Mm-hmm. Shit just kept happening.
Well, when it ended, I was like, "Really? That was an hour? Holy shit!"
Like, yeah, it flew. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm hoping the rest of the season is gonna be like that, where just things are just happening. Every scene's important. Something's happening. Every scene that matters.
Right.
Even the quieter scenes, like the one with Stannis and his daughter, it mattered. It was important to establish that Stannis does, have this side to him, that he isn't just a great tactician or general. He's also a great, father.
Right.
And that you can see the kind of king he would be, which is strict, firm, but pretty fair. He wouldn't be anybody's favorite uncle that brings candy and presents every time they come over, but he's also not the uncle that's going to beat the kids or do anything awful. Like, you can always depend on him. So, definitely looking forward. This season's been a roller coaster for me more than any other, because all the things that I can't predict anymore. I'm like, some things I can sit there and go, oh boy. Other things I'm like, you heard me when Bears did at the end, they were going to attack them. I'm like,
what? No!
Like,
nah!
I wanted to throw shit. So, I think that's going to wrap up this podcast.
Yeah, that's definitely.
The Spoilercast. As always, thank you for listening to us.
Thank you.
You can always find all of our podcasts, including our main podcast and the new watch list podcasts, on our website, which is podcastofdoom.com. You can follow us on Twitter at Podcast of Doom. You like us on Facebook at facebook.com/podcastofdoom. And of course, you can always subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or Stitcher. You can leave a rating and a review for us as well there. And please share with your friends if you enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. The more that this podcast spread, the better off it'll be, and the better off everything will be. Like,
we like to have an audience.
We like to have an audience. We like to provide content for you guys. So
we like when people watch.
We like when people listen and watch. But yes, thank you again from the bottom of our black little hearts.
Hey, my heart is plump and pink.
Plump and pink,
like my belly.
We do really appreciate it, guys. Hit up our website, once again, podcastofdoom.com. And as always, watch or you die.
You listen or you die.
Listen or you die.
But you can also watch it.
On
YouTube.
On
YouTube you can watch or die as well.
Yeah, exactly.
The choice is yours.